Hello, everyone. Scott here from Blue Mountain Bigfoot Research, and I have some exciting news. Don Endicott and myself were walking along this trail out squatching one afternoon, kind of waiting for it to get dark, and we came across this cut bank right here. And at first, I almost walked by it, and I happened to glance down and see something. And what I saw was this. It looks like a couple of toes and a foot. But upon further examination, I noticed the other three toes were still there. They were just some mud had slid down in there because it had been raining for the last few days. So I've been up here looking for 5 years and chasing reports, and this was one of the most exciting finds of my Squatch in the last 5 years. So here's my wife to explain.
And now I'm here to show you what they found. So we're here and we're standing next to a muddy embankment. It's kind of drippy out today. It's been raining for a few weeks because it's the middle of June. Anyway, but in this muddy embankment, we have prints. And he's going to come in here and I'm going to show you this print. So if you see here, we have got a print of probably a female. What kind of forest creature makes a print like that? That is not an elk, that is not a deer, that is not a raccoon or even a bear. But if you look here, we've got 5 toes, one with some mud that is scooched down into it. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 right there. And then you can see how it comes down and it makes a heel. And you've got all of the ridges that you find on the bottom of a foot. So we've got right foot, up here is left foot, and I'm not about to climb this hill. And then way up there in the slide, you have the right foot again. So look at that, you've got your 5-foot strides, 1, 2, 3, maybe a little shorter because it is on a hill. And I know how my strides are when they're on a hill. But here's the interesting part. This is the awesome part. Look, he's gonna zoom in right here. Move the grass out of the way. You got a baby print right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 baby toes. Probably, I'm thinking that looks kind of like a right foot because this big toe is a little bit higher than that one there. And again, it comes down to where you'd have a heel. We couldn't find any more baby prints, and so our theory is mom just finally, grabbed the baby and we're going. Just like we do to our own kids when they're not keeping up. Anyway, right, left, right, baby. Now, isn't that pretty awesome?
Okay, I'm going to start off with a little analysis here. And I'm going to start off with the baby footprint. And there's something I noticed that there's this spread in the toes as it stepped. And that reminded me of something. So I had to go back and look through the archives. Yeah, and it's 9 inches long. But what I found was there's these footprints that were cast up here in the Blue Mountains. By Paul Freeman, and I noticed the spread in the toes, and this was very, very similar. So that was one thing that was kind of exciting. This is the only print that I could possibly cast. I did cast it. It was a little rough because as my wife's measuring right here, I want to show you the hillside is a 58-degree angle going up. So it's pretty thick. So I had to keep swiping the plaster up like this to keep it in the track. So this is what I came up with. I had to pour it pretty thick too, so it didn't get down in the cracks like I wanted to. But it does show some stuff from the side that are really exciting, I think. Um, First of all, we've got all the 5 toes, and there's this angle right there that was really great. And so it's like the toes sit down and then the foot slid down a little bit, which was almost the exact same angle as the hillside. Then there's this clump of dirt which was pushed up because of the foot sliding down on the hillside a little bit. Then, of course, there's this, what is known as the mid-tarsal break. It's still there and it's pretty prominent. Actually, to explain it a little bit, what it is we humans have an arch, and the arch keeps this set of bones here from bending. But Bigfoot has flat feet, so the mid-tarsal bones right there are able to bend and flex. So it causes a little divot in the footprints when you cast them. Sometimes it's really slight. This is really prominent because this is where the foot slid down. Of course, the back here was a little weak because of the plaster was really thick and lumpy, so it didn't really feel in really good. But that's the best I could get on a really steep hill. So I'm going to go in to show you how this layout really worked. I did this diagram here. Sorry, the resolution isn't that great on it, but we're going to start off with the first step. So there was a step on the road, and then the first step is actually 5 feet off the ground to the tip of the toe up there. So that's a pretty large stride length. Next, we're going to look at this first footprint like we've talked about before. It actually was 16 inches long. When I measured it, and this here is actually the third day, and something had came down the hill and slid some mud into it, and it was a little ridiculous, but the footprint was at an angle. That was kind of an idea of what the angle was, and this is where that step was and that mud that slid into it on the second day, but the actual footprint's about that big. So it does measure about 16 inches long. And of course, it is kind of flexed up like your foot was bent up, right? And it's not a bear. And I want to point out the differences between bears. So bears have a curvature in their front pad that causes the toes in almost an arc, and it builds up a lot of print behind that. If you notice, this footprint here is almost dead straight across. Which is kind of indicative of Bigfoot prints. And secondly, these little tick marks on the ends of the toes would be the claws. And I actually looked really hard. I took a magnifying glass and went over this hillside and looked really close, and I did not see one tick mark. And plus, most bare feet aren't 16 inches long. Now, the second step was 5 feet 6 inches and a quarter. From toe to toe up there. At first I thought this here was the footprint, but I was totally wrong. That was just some kind of natural thing that was there. The footprint was actually next to it. And the foot had went up underneath the foliage when it took a step. So it's partially hidden. But right here you can see the heel area. That's what actually caught my eye. And then when I pull the foliage back, there's the toes, all 5 of them right there. And it was kind of protected by the foliage. So actually I got a pretty decent print right there. Once again, I couldn't cast it because it's nearly straight up and down. That's to show you how wide it is with my hand there. It was about 7 inches. I measured it. The next print was 4 foot 6.5 inches to the top of the hill. And again, it was under some foliage that it stepped under. Once I pulled that back, this was at the top of the hill and there wasn't much moisture there, so the print didn't sink very far, and the ground's pretty packed. But it was about 16 inches long. About, I would say, an inch was probably off the edge of the hill because that's where it started to level out a little bit up there. So here's me taking some pictures. I'll be posting some of those high resolution photos up on our website. So go to the website, sign up to follow the blog there, and so you can keep updated on all our finds and things. Also follow us on Facebook and Twitter. And go to the YouTube channel and like and follow, because we have 9 followers right now. I'm so excited. And maybe we can get 10, maybe 12, maybe 20. Share it with all your friends. To keep in touch with what we're doing out here in the woods, go to my website. Also buy some swag. It helps pay for lunches out here in the woods and gas. So keep it squatchy.